Next, you're going to develop a central idea. And in the graphic here, we have a speech about Mardi Gras. There are, Mardi Gras is obviously the central idea. I would generate some main points, and I would turn those 3 main points into that speech about Mardi Gras. So I would discuss Mardi Gras history, the beads, and the parades associated with Mardi Gras. Those would all be examples of filtering those 3 main ideas, those 3 things, into essentially a central idea. Next, you're going to want to generate main points, and this process involves brainstorming for ideas about your topic, organizing those things into specific areas, and then applying an organizational pattern. Remember, in brainstorming, there's no really right or wrong items. You want to just get everything that you possibly can down on paper and get as much ground covered as you possibly can. Next, you're going to organize things into main areas, and the organization of that material into main areas will be organized around that organizational pattern, either topical, chronological, or spatial. Finally, you're going to apply that organizational pattern and bring the speech on home. Next, you're going to gather supporting material, and we as a society are going to generate more information this year than we have generated in all other years put together. According to some analysts, it is enough information to fill the Library of Congress pretty much every single day. That is a ridiculous amount of information that's going to be generated this year. So in keeping with that, there's a lot more Web 2.0 evidence out there that is of much higher quality than it used to be. And there is a lot of stuff that doesn't necessarily come from books that is still very valid information. Your sources that you gather do not have to necessarily be in print. Next, organize/write the speech. And in this particular area, you're going to want to apply some of those principles of outlining that we've been discussing. For instance, in a speech about different stringed musical instruments, you might have a main point about guitars. You would have 3 sub-points underneath that main point. This is the part where you organize the information into a speech, into a coherent thought, into a coherent argument. The 7th step is the most important step of the speech making process, and it is the one that you've absolutely got to engage in if you want to have a successful speech, and that is to rehearse/de-stress. And I say /de-stress because it is the point in the process where you will eliminate the stress, where you will take the stress out of speech making, and that is, if you rehearse enough, you will eliminate the stress. In this graphic, we have a young lady, and she is about ready to deliver a keynote speech in that arena, in that conference room, in that room. And she is looking out at the 500 or so chairs that they have assembled in that conference room, and I'm sure she's visualizing herself being successful. I know that she's visualizing her introduction going well, kind of where she's going to stand when she makes different points, what her hand gestures will be like. She's going through the whole thing in her head. You should do the same thing. Visualize yourself being successful, possibly record yourself ahead of time. Make sure that you are familiar enough with your material that you will be a success in that public speaking situation. If you do not rehearse, then your nerves will be apparent and they will be obvious to everyone. If you're not familiar with that material, you're not going to have a good speech. And here we see her visualizing that success. A couple different ways that you can practice. You can visualize it. You can go over it. You can look at yourself delivering the address in front of a mirror, or you can record yourself. You can also practice in front of a group of family and friends. All of these things are great ways to minimize your stress and to de-stress the public speaking situation. Finally, deliver the speech. If you engage in all of those different steps before you get up to give the speech, you will have a great public speech. And the reason is because it's all kind of systematic. It starts with that good foundation and then sort of works its way up. So the least stressful part of it, in fact, almost a little anticlimactic if you engage in all the other parts of the speech making process, will be the actual delivery of the speech. One other thing to consider, arguably the 9th step in the speech making process. The reason that I kind of superimpose that as a transparency over all of the rest of them is because it is something that you should be engaging in the entire time. You should be considering your audience as you select and narrow as you determine a purpose, as you develop the central idea, generate main points, gather supporting material, organize and write the speech, rehearse and deliver the speech, consider the audience at all turns. Examine what types of arguments you think that they will find successful. Examine what types of arguments you think that they will not be persuaded by, and that will help you to construct a better speech for your audience. I hope that you learned a little something about audience analysis and about the steps involved in the speech making process. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me. Have a good day.